Welcome, gamers and friends. I am the Rank Gamer, and today I will review Celeste and Dongo Adventures. Now, Celeste was created by Matt Makes Games, led by Matty Thorson, and Celeste began as a simple but extremely challenging game produced by Matt Thorson and Noel Berry in August of 2015 in just 4 days. This game was made for the Pico 8, which was an imaginary console kind of designed to create new what-if games that could come out in the 80s. Now, the full release of Celeste came on January 25th, 2018 on Xbox, PS4, Switch, and PC. So the game follows the journey of Madeline as she attempts to climb Celeste Mountain in hopes of personal revelation. She simply feels she must climb the mountain. Now, after seeing screenshots mixed with raving reviews, I brushed the game off as overrated. But as I learned a little bit more about the story, specifically handling one's mental health, my interest was piqued. I bought Celeste for $20 and have currently played well over 60 hours of it. And it only takes about 10 to 20 hours to finish, but I just could not get enough. Now, how misguided I was in judging a book by its cover. So let's dive right into Celeste, the game of intrinsic reward. And here's the intro game menu. And here's the game. No, I'm just kidding. This is actually the original Pico 8 Celeste. The Pico was limited, I believe, to about 30 screens of level design with very strict parameters. The reason I wanted to show you this, though, so you can see the foundations and where Celeste from 2018 was derived from, and where its influences came from. And if it wasn't for the success of something as simple as this, there's a good chance that we would never have been given Celeste. So Celeste begins with Madeline embarking on a journey to the top of Celeste Mountain. The game mood and charm is very uplifting, and there's a very zany cast of characters you meet, from the old granny at the base of the mountain to Theo, the social media influencer, who actually has his real Instagram page, by the way. And it's an absolute delight to engage in their dialogue. Some people have complained about the kind of warbled voice, instead of doing an actual voiceover. But I find this charming. Reminds me a lot of Banjo-Kazooie. And that was kind of my generation of gaming. So I actually found that to be an improvement. Now, the moves in Madeline's arsenal to conquer Celeste include jump, dash, wall kick, and wall climb. And that's it. Only one upgrade occurs in the final stages of the game. And like I said, that's really right at the end. Now, graphically speaking, the pixel art is fabulous. Between snowdrifts, motion of Madeline's hair, the wind effects, and a very clear distinction between platform and background design is very, very, very well done. Some games over-pixelate, leading to very confusing level designs where you don't know what you can jump on and what you can't. Also, there is no heads-up display and no user interface. This means the entire screen is in-game graphics. So indicators for something like low stamina, as you see right there, would just be Madeline will start to flash red, indicating she's getting tired and then she's about to fall. If you are unsure whether or not you have the capability to dash, if her hair is red, you can dash. If her hair is blue, then it means you need to land on solid ground to recharge the dash. So there is no need to focus on a stamina and health bar in the top left of the screen, which will diminish the immersion of the game, and you will focus less on the main character. So now, level design. Celeste, as earlier mentioned, has limited controls. So this means the crux of the game comes down to gameplay and level design. The level design is simply mastered in this game. Each screen is unique with its own unique challenge, and with each inevitable death, which will happen a lot, you instantly respawn where you entered that screen. Most of the challenge in the level design comes from first observing the screen, then planning how to use the environment, like walls, springboards, conveyors, and other elements introduced in each new stage of the game, and then you have to execute those moves. Now, this is key. Death is not that frustrating, but success feels so incredible. Now, the game often seems to ask too much of you in terms of challenge, but only to show you had what it took all along. Now, the game does reward players with fun, peaceful, and charming clips, generally after the greatest hardships. This moment with Theo is a good example. of a cutesy charm in a good game that focuses on handling anxiety. And oh, did I mention the constant death tally that they continually throw at you? So for sound and audio, I am simply going to let you get a taste of it. This is Compliments of Lena Rain. Alright, so Lena Rain composed the soundtrack for Celeste, and it is a standalone album. The ambient but melodic background music always reflects the state of the game. When the game intensifies, so does the music and audio. And then all other audio effects are crisp and polished, whether it's the sound effects for the dash, or whether or not it is simply a bubble popping. Now, for gameplay. In Celeste, gameplay is fabulous. The growing environmental mechanics combined with growing challenge created a charming story that, frankly, speaking from experience, if you do have anxiety, this game is therapeutic. The way the game intertwines and reflects the protagonist's anxiety is unreal in creating empathy for a tiny pixelated blob. Also, the game uses real-life coping strategies to help focus you for more difficult challenges ahead. Imagine a feather floating on your breath. Simple things like that. Now, unrelated to the plot, the game has many secrets to discover. The rewards for some secrets are vital for unlocking what are called the B-side levels. Basically, they recreate each level, but make it absurdly more difficult. You can also collect strawberries, hidden everywhere through the game, to get an alternate ending. So for satisfaction, obviously, very key point in the game. As I already had mentioned, this game is one of intrinsic reward. This is a rare game where I felt as much a need to prove myself in climbing Celeste as Madeline, our protagonist, did. I did not care how the game ended as long as I reached the summit. And I won't spoil the ending, but in terms of lessons in mental health, I believe this game is beautifully insightful. The journey through Celeste from a mindless platforming standpoint was almost perfect alone. Adding a charming story and great audio visuals only made perfect more perfect. And also the struggle between Madeline and part of me, referred to as Battlein online, is fascinating and was a good tactic to employ boss fights where you're basically fighting a manifestation of a part of yourself. Deep, right? Overall, this game is greater than the sum of its parts. It is extremely satisfying, with previously mentioned secrets for incredibly high replay value. And as I mentioned, so much of this game, and actually it is important to mention too, the one upgrade you do receive is a double dash. So you can see that right there. But there's nothing more rewarding than clearing a screen after, putting in so much practice. And now on to the B-sides. I did want to just discuss this a little bit because this gives a lot of replay value to the game. This is the very first screen on the very first stage for the, for the game and for the B-side. As you can see, this is very different and much more challenging than the one that appeared earlier in this review. Now, I think these are excellent. Again, it just keeps getting harder and harder with each screen, and it gets to a point of near absurdity, and you have to start employing tactics that you didn't even need to use in any of the main game playthrough. So, excellent. Now, as far as going on to significant issues that buyers should be aware of, well, frankly, for me, there were none. Now, with that being said, the challenge in this game may not be for novice gamers. But, and this is key, the game includes accessibility features like infinite dashes that could let a 5-year-old beat the main story. Now, some gamer communities take offense when accessibility options for a game are included. My advice to you is do not use it. Like me, I forget it's even there. The point of the game is to overcome the challenge. If you use it once, you might feel a need to lean on it again. It is not a crutch you want to use. Alright. finally, moving on to my numerical scores for Celeste. For graphics, less is more. Extremely effective use. So I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. For sound and audio, Lena Raine scores a 10 out of 10 on proper use of score to a game of this nature. Gameplay. Maddie Thorson is the master of level design. Add to that the controls and narration. A solid 10 out of 10. Satisfaction. I could not have been more wrong about Celeste in my initial thoughts. This is an easy 10 out of 10. Overall, this is my first 10 out of 10 score review given. Now, on to Dongo Adventures. Released on PC December 6th of 2018 and released July 9th, 2020 for the Switch by Qbyte Interactive. This is a platform game that was well marketed, unfortunately. Its low price of $3.99 and low 250 megabyte download made it a very easy choice for some people, especially if it was on sale. Looked like a good pickup. This is an extremely unpolished game, in my opinion. Whereas I said with Celeste, you don't want to judge a book by its cover. This book had a cover that looked good, and boy, this was a bad read. The game physics are mind-boggling. Some platformers, some platforms are actually background decorations, and unlike Celeste, when you die, you go back to the beginning of the level. And just simply watch the gameplay. It's frankly, I think it's a joke. And that cheese, that cheese graphic, it's was no effort put into that. But anyway, sorry, you got to rant every now and then about, a game like this. So for this is going to be my very first play or nay. And in case you haven't figured out, it is an overwhelming nay. You toss this one in the fire. Thank you so much for watching. Please like or subscribe, and for continual gaming insights, please stay safe.